That's why after that meeting, I was like, oh, Jeremy, you're going to do on the East Coast. We're going to do that. Like, I'm like, oh, the opportunities are.
Yeah.
Angelina's face was just like lit up.
I was.
She was like, oh my gosh. If I didn't need to tell her more about saying like, this is where you need to be, Angelina, like that, like I think just was like lock and key. Buying a home isn't just about numbers. It's about moving your life forward. Welcome to the Right Move podcast, where mortgages meet lifestyle. I am Kendra Wright, and with over a decade of experience and more than 900 loans funded, I've seen firsthand how the right guidance can change everything. We're here to simplify the process, build confidence, and help you make smart moves for your future, because your next move should always be the right one. Welcome back to the Right Move podcast. Today's episode is personal for me, for our team, and I know for so many of you listening. We're talking about the rise, the fall, and how to rebuild without burning out. And joining me is the woman who understands my heart, my journey, and this mission, Angelina Hernandez. We're going to have a real conversation today. No scripts, no polish, just pure honesty. Let's go. All right, Angelina. Here we are. We're back again.
Yes. Let's dive right in.
I just feel like I'm listening to that song, Shady's Back.
Back again.
Which I like. I mean, the music sounds good. We're back again. We're back. Here we are. So, part two.
Part two. Where did we leave off?
Where did we start?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Where are we going?
Where are we going?
To infinity and beyond.
I love that because we are like. I mean, I'm all about the Disney, like infinity and beyond. You know, it's funny. Little side note, personal note. Clay was such into Pixar when he was a kid. I mean, Cars, Toy Story, and I almost thought about like, how can I put in? Because I would always tell him I love you to infinity and beyond.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, love Toy Story. And I'm like, how can I put that on my license plate, infinity and beyond? Because as a mom, you like, there's no love, like the love for your children, like to infinity and beyond. And we're here to go above
and beyond.
Like, I just want to go to the outer space, in more ways than one, right? So
let's go.
Let's get in our rocket ship and just blast off.
Yeah.
Like we're just.
Side note. Do you know that I met the gentleman from the astronaut Jose Hernandez, who did A Million Miles Away? Did you ever see that movie? If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
Oh, was he the one that worked for Was that
he worked at the Livermore lab?
Oh.
Yes, he was a NASA astronaut.
But didn't he try and he couldn't? He tried a couple times.
13 times. Talk about perseverance.
Okay.
So anyhow, as part of my community engagement and, just tapping into the community, there's a science center out in Livermore where I live, and he sits on their board. And for Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm like, why are you not leveraging this relationship? Like, he just had a movie. Let's, blow up his movie. And so we actually got him to come and screen the movie in Livermore. We had over 500 families come watch the movie. I sat right next to him. And, the whole entire time as we're watching the movie, I'm asking him questions like, did you really do this? Did you really do that? And he's like, because there's a scene in the movie where he shows up in his Impala into the laboratory, the National Laboratory plane, like this Mexican Vicente Fernandez song. And and I was like, did you really do that? He's like, hell yeah, I did. But it's an amazing movie. So props to Jose Hernandez. And,
I think we need to get him on. I feel like we should he's like, okay, now this is a whole nother opportunity. I'm like, let's talk to him.
Beyond, yeah. So talk about that experience. And he just, it was amazing. Amazing story.
That is an amazing story. And I think that's what we need to remember more and more of, there's so many more amazing stories.
Yes.
And what we're here to do is help everyone, because we're equal housing lender, right?
Yes, we are.
We're equal housing. We work with, every size, shape, color, whatever. We're here to help. And one of your biggest passions and why you're here with the Right Loan and with Movement Mortgage is because you are wanting to focus. Where is your focus at?
Obviously, like you said, we don't discriminate, but I do have a passion for providing opportunities and a pathway to home ownership to our communities of color, and specifically the Latino community. I just feel it was something I was born to do. And so part of Movement and their strategies that they've built and this community that they've literally named Comunidad, and just providing resources and education for people who are trying to become homeowners that are, Latin heritage. And you and I had a chance to connect with the VP, Jeremy. Shout out to Jeremy. And
okay, let's take a little pause there on that one.
That was so hilarious.
Okay. A little backstory. This is not something new for me. And this is another thing that Angelina and I both align with is serving our Latin communities. I've always, throughout my career, I've been a part of NAREP and, a lot of my buyers or my clients or how, I had to find the perfect, like, what do we call them? And like, there's so much more than just.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot more, but
it's a lot more.
Yeah,
so anyway,
clients are clients.
Our clients, and majority of them are Latinos, they're 1 in 4 of the buyers in the market these days, and they're continuing to grow. So, and especially starting my business in the Central Valley, where it's a very big Latin communities throughout the Central Valley. I will say majority of my business was Latinos.
Yeah,
and having that connection with them and understanding their needs and wants. And it was always very important to me to have someone on the team that spoke Spanish because I know that made them feel more comfortable, even if they spoke English. A lot of families are involved. So having someone that can speak to them in their own language and, make them feel just very comfortable. Yeah. But it's not something that I'm just doing because I like, it's, what I want. I do have roots in the Latin community.
And so, that came out in a very funny way.
So
by the way,
yes, you go ahead and you can.
So obviously your name is very deceiving, Kendra Wright, right?
I mean,
so,
right,
right. Now we're gonna nickname you La Güera just because But yeah, so we were on this meeting with Jeremy, and he was just like, Kendra, like I just really want to thank you for supporting the cause. It's always nice to have an ally and someone who advocates for our communities. And I was already starting to giggle a little bit just as he was saying that, and you're like, Jeremy, like I'm not just an advocate, like I also have Latin descent. And and I was like, so we got off the call and I was like, Kendra, like, can we just go down that road? Like what is like your nationality? I was very shocked, obviously, to learn like it's not just Latina, but it's also Middle Eastern. And so you actually have a connection to there and that culture. And I just thought, like the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover because you just never know. And like obviously that is one of the things I love is
it's
just
a page turner.
Yeah. Like, as I mentioned, like, movement's very diverse. And I just, now it's just another thing that connects us, right? Like having that passion and that love for the culture. So
it's very important. And it wasn't just like, again, I have a connection because yes, my great grandmother came from La Paz, Mexico. Because when I joined NAREP too, you had to say, how are you somehow
Latin?
How are you? Because you can't just be like, And of course, yes, my name is Kendra Wright. But as most of us, I feel nowadays, we're just a melting pot of different cultures. So don't let a name fool you. You never know what someone is or don't look, So, but yes, it was always been something that's been a passion because my great grandmother, I was very into ancestry. I saw her like, she walked across the border like multiple times. She'd go back and forth to Mexico. My grandmother speaks fluent Spanish. And she does look Hispanic. And it was one of those things that I wish we would have been taught Spanish. Yeah. But, as you know, it was something that they just kind of got like, oh, no, you don't speak Spanish. You don't. It's not, you speak English. And I wish, they would have taken more time to teach us. And now we're having to relearn. And I'm trying to practice. Don't get me wrong, I am. But it's important to, especially for the Latin communities, to have someone who understands the culture. Mm-hmm. It is a part of my culture fully. I unfortunately don't speak it. So it's like, but then bringing on someone who can even help go dive deeper and make them feel that, because it's community. They all stick together. They all help each other. It could be 4 or 5 family members going in and buying that house, but they all live together and they're all going to support each other. Yeah. And I just love, like, that is something very important to me. So that's why I said, okay, if I'm going to bring someone on to build this the way I want it, I want to bring someone who truly is that is in alignment of that. And here comes Angelina, and even more so with Comunidad, as I'm practicing, making sure I say it and I don't say like La Güera. That I am. But yeah, so dive a little bit more, Angelina, into what that is here at the Wright Loan and movement and all that. What is that?
So one of the biggest things I think just that got me excited is obviously as someone who has had to translate a lot of things for many years, even my own parents as I was a little kid, is having access to read, information in Spanish. And as you and I both know, loan application, all the disclosures, everything, when you're having families having to sit in, like, you're translating these documents that are legal, sometimes, you put your best effort forward, but you want to feel comfortable, sitting down with someone and making sure that they're grasping the information before they sign. Like you said, they're making one of the biggest financial investments of their lives. And so I am so excited that Movement not just has the loan application in Spanish, but the disclosures, everything they're signing, is accessible to them in Spanish should they choose that's how they want to look at the documents. And so when you said that to me, and, we talked about it when I was in training, I was like, this is a game changer, right? Being able to not just talk to the people in Spanish, but having them look at documents where they can, like, literally look at them. If they have questions, they can come back to us and say, like, explain why this says this here. And so I think that's huge.
Huge. I mean, again, I've been in with other companies, and they might have one or two things, but nothing where it's not even just in the language, but also, like, it's its own, as you can say, its own department within the company. Like, they are so focused on diversity with Comunidad, and then, and minorities. I mean, serving all communities is such a huge part, because that's who we bring home. So it's not just like, oh yeah, we're a mortgage company, and like, oh yeah, we have Spanish speaking disclosure. No, it's a whole department, right? Yeah. It's a whole, like, thing that it's like, this is the way, this is important to us.
Yeah. And I think the other reason why I got so excited, right, is because, like, again, we've talked about when you work at a corporate company, yes, they have, like, DEI, you can join groups and things like that, but nothing like how Movement is creating this movement. And just talking to Jeremy, who is the VP of Comunidad, and the vision he has of where Comunidad is going and the impact that we want to make. You and I are on a mission to make an impact throughout all of California, right? But
West Coast, baby. We're taking over the West Coast. That's why after that meeting, I was like, oh, Jeremy, you're going to do on the East Coast. We're going to do that. Like, I'm like, oh, the opportunities are.
Yeah.
Angelina's face was just, like, lit up.
I was.
She was like, oh my gosh. If I didn't need to tell her more about saying, like, this is where you need to be, Angelina, like that, like, I think just was like lock and key. She's in it. I'm like, you know what? He's on the East Coast. We're here on the West Coast. I already have been working on it. Now we're going to go even bigger and broader and, like, really just, like, come on, West Coast, baby. We're just going to take over and really serve our communities, like, and do it.
It really lit me up. It got me excited. And it gave me hope, as we were talking earlier.
We all need hope.
Yeah. A hope that, there are people out there advocating for communities and open a pathway to something that so many of us, want, like, in home ownership. And how can we make that attainable? And how can we build and make an impact in communities? And more importantly, build trust, right? That we are aligned, we're in integrity, and we want to provide something that's to so many people that, they really want, that American dream. And so, if I wasn't sold before, I was definitely sold after I spoke to Jeremy, again, just because of the vision he painted of where we're going. And it's exciting.
The party sounded fun.
Yeah. The party.
I was like, oh, they're wanting to party?
There's nothing like a Latin party. You already know that. But, and then, just being a resource for communities. Just, I think about my own journey, my parents' journey, people that enter in my family, and how, like you said, came here to this country for opportunities. And so the fact that we can do that for people and for families, that excites me. So,
I mean, that's, again, something that we're both very much in line with. And I know that, again, being with Movement and what they're, there are so many different areas and layers, but the Comunidad piece of it is so, I mean, it is the future. Yeah. It truly is the future of our industry, of, how we can make a difference, how we can bring people hope.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting. And, like, there is so much opportunity. So I'm like, if you are you Latin, if whatever whatever you might be, like, you don't understand there's so much opportunities that are right in front of us.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We want to show people that there's opportunities. Yes. And, like, you can be, well, everyone tells me I shouldn't own a home, or, oh, I can't do, like, no, like, we don't take no for an answer. And, like, no, if it might not be, might not be now, but it's not no.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it's so important for me is because it does create this place of safety for so many people, right? Mm-hmm. And just talking to more and more people that were in the community, it's like, we are here to build something. First step, like you said, is to build our own home and stability and security, but then it's like to add to our generational wealth.
Yes.
Growing up, our parents didn't have those conversations with us. And so like being able to
Financial literacy
was
not something that was shared. You would go to work and you worked and you always worked.
Yeah.
But the financial literacy piece.
And then just been my experience, like the stigma that comes with like wanting to build generational wealth, because we're taught and ingrained to be very humble. Right. And so like just because you want more, it's just like, well, why do you want more? You should just be happy. You should just be content with what you have.
We can be grateful always be grateful for what you have, but why not dream big and dream bigger and
exactly.
If you believe in it and you see the vision and you work at, you put that into it, like, why not? Like, okay, that home is great. Your first home is wonderful. But if you pay it off, then you have a rental property. Then you can go to that bigger home. It's like, like, again, like you said, removing the stigma that it's okay to want to achieve more.
Yeah.
And have that. But then, you might have a real estate portfolio. You work very hard and you might own 2 or 3 rentals and then you own your house. I'm like,
yeah. And those are some of the conversations that we're already starting to have within like our communities. Right. And so I think, again, just by advocating more education and just, painting the vision for some people, it allows them to dream and take action, right? And so that's what we want.
Yeah, we do. And I think we need to bring in more good news and, see the benefits of even taking the steps to do it.
Yeah.
And seeing what might be something that they think that they can't do, but they can.
Yeah.
But it's building that relationship, and again, going back to I think the trust aspect, right?
Yeah.
I guess one question for you, Angelina, coming from your what generation, first or second?
First.
Your first generation.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom came
by both my parents. My dad and my mom came from Mexico.
Okay.
And my
you were born here.
I was born.
Okay,
yeah,
you're the first one born here.
I was the first one born here. Well, my sister and I, but born and raised in San Jose, California. And yeah, like, that was always like one of the things that was, driven is like, if you get a house, you've made it. If you're able to afford a house, you've made it. And actually it was interesting. When my dad retired, he, I think, had like 5 years left on his mortgage. And mind you, this is in San Jose. Okay. Like right now like houses in San Jose are like $2 million for like, your typical three bedroom. And I think my dad panicked and he sold the house and ended up moving to Modesto.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my mom always says, like, if he would have like just not sold the house, like we would have still been in the Bay Area.
What year was this?
This was like, I want to say I was still in high school. So I graduated in 93. So like in the 90s at some point.
So that, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think that home is now worth if he would have kept it?
Easily over $2 million. Easily. Because I've looked at it.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So do you, because of, again, because he was first, he owned a home and that was the American dream.
Right.
But he didn't know he ended up he was fearful because he was no longer, he was retired and didn't have he wasn't working.
Right.
That he thought, oh, I'm going to take my house and I'm going to move somewhere else, where if he would have just trusted the process and knowing that, okay, I can pay that I have 5 years left, I can pay it.
Yeah.
And then he could, your family could possibly still own that home and have a home that they would be sitting on technically $2 million.
Yeah.
Because that's
probably more now. Because the last time, just out of curiosity, I looked at it and it was like $2 million. And my mother, we actually, my husband and I joke about this, because my mother-in-law and my father-in-law bought a house, $60,000 way back in San Jose, right? And again, it's like a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. In San Jose, and it's like worth 1.5 or something. And we always were like, and it took you guys 30 years to pay off 60 grand? Like, what? So we laugh all the time, and they're like, yeah, but incomes were like $3 back then, and $3 an hour. And so, it's just, again, it goes back to trusting the process.
Trusting the process.
Right.
And even at that point when he was about to retire, he could have said, do I sell this house or do I keep it, or how do I make the payments go?
Because back then we were already starting to work. So if he would have said hey, you guys are going to have to pay rent. But my dad never did that with us. And so, bless his heart. He passed away already. But I think about that all the time. And it's, again, goes back to the education piece.
Education.
And not... and trusting yourself and yeah, but everything happens for a reason.
Everything does. But it's one of those things he could have done that, but if he would have known that there was other options.
Yeah, other
like,
options.
okay, well, he was when we can give. That's what we try to do. We give everyone options. It's not like one size fits all.
Yeah.
The loan that's best for you is a loan that you qualify that meets your financial goals, right? So not one, but here's a plan. Like this isn't your forever your forever loan. This is a stepping stone. Like if you need your first home or you're doing a low down payment or your next home and you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're going to pay it down, or you're going to refinance because you're paying off, credit card debt and consolidating that. We're here to give, that education to people.
Yeah.
And the more we can educate and like, wow, I didn't know that. That's why we're here. I feel like I'm like, what are we going to be under? Like finance, education. I'm like, we're not, lifestyle. What are we doing? A little bit of both, but ultimately at the end of the day, we're here to give hope, and we're here to give anybody like, okay, oh, that's something I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
Like the light bulb goes on and you're like, okay, I'm in that situation and I, now I can talk to somebody, we're here, and like they're resourceful and they actually care about me.
Yeah.
And they want to help me because everyone wants, And
I just think it just gives our clients just that confidence that they've made a decision based on, like actual facts. And I feel like we're both people of integrity, and that's important to me, right? Like I want people to know or to feel like we did everything we possibly could to put them in the best situation possible for their family.
Of course.
And so.
Because everyone's like, oh, I want to qualify for this. I'm like, okay, even if you qualify, are you okay with making that payment?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to come back to me in a year and like, I couldn't do that, this, that, or the other. I'm like, we went over all the numbers over and over again. And if you didn't feel comfortable, I want you to tell me that this doesn't, it's not what I'm comfortable. This is what I'm comfortable with. Okay, then let's work out what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And those are the things, right? Like just, clients that we've already worked with where it's like, oh, I can, what's the max loan amount? Well, the max loan amount is not the one that is going to give you the, what's your quality of life? What, you know what I mean? Like, and for us in the Bay Area, we get a lot of commuters, right? And so just like the client we had that last time where, he's like, if I have to move out, to like an hour and commute 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, well, I know you're okay with that, but is your partner okay with that? Because this is what that means. This is what life would look like, right? And so, I think it's, just bringing in all that insight because sometimes people don't think about that stuff, right?
No, and that's what we're here. We're supposed to guide them. We're supposed to give them like, okay, let's look at the big picture. This is what, like, are you okay with that? Is this going to change your quality of life? Because again, it's what it is, quality of life. Home ownership is not going to be, it's something that's going to make your life better. It's building that generational wealth and having a plan. And it's okay, maybe you start with the littlest home on the block that's not, that's the lowest, and it might not be what you want now, but it's something that's going to, you're still having a good quality of life.
Right, yeah.
And so like in summary then, Angelina, what is your goal and vision here for? I want to hear your goal and the vision because this is you're heading in. I'm here. I'm right there next to you, beside you. What is your goal and vision with Comunidad? With what you wanting to do for your communities? What you're wanting to do on this side of as a mortgage advisor advising on home financing? What is it that you like? What is it?
I think you kind of like, hit the nail on the head. Like when Jeremy, painted the vision, I was like, okay, well, he's in the East Coast. So like, we're going to just duplicate his work and bring it to the West Coast because,
we're going to align for it. It's all team, but like West Coast, East Coast.
Yeah, West Coast.
It's West Coast. I'm like, we'll go
West Coast versus East Coast. Not, we're not here to like,
we'll go
cause
to
any drama. Yeah, we'll go. You're invited to the West Coast.
You're going to the West Coast, Jeremy. Don't worry, and we'll go to the East Coast. But again, it's like nationwide here, but here in California because that's we are focused on the West Coast and in California. Yeah. So. What is that?
Yeah, I want to basically be that voice and that impact lender, right? I want to create impact. I want not just within like, having families attain home ownership, but also in the community piece, right? Like, why wouldn't I want to bring a charter school to California? Like
I know.
They're doing amazing things. And if we can start implementing those kind of things in California, like, let's do it. And so obviously, you and I both know, action speaks louder than anything. And so I just want to be that like representation on the West Coast for Movement Mortgage and the Wright Loan. And I want to be the people that when people are having conversations, I want our name out there, and I want people to know who we are. And so
we're growing. This is growth.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the bigger picture. It's like, okay, we're starting it, and like who wants to join us on this mission? Because
exactly,
it takes multiple people. I mean,
right? Yeah.
We'll go into how much, we can all try to do our by ourselves, but it takes a team. So it's like it's building the team and bringing on the right people. But, it's you, and then who else is going to come along? And it's because we want to really serve and grow and get bigger.
I mean, what's the number of people in California alone, right? Like a team of 3 is not good. It's not sustainable. And like you and I have a big dream and a big vision. And so, like,
anyone that's out there, the industry has been, as we all know, it's been a little bit interesting the last couple of years. A lot of people have changed. The companies they've been at from like, how many years? I know I went through that myself. A lot of people went from banking to brokering, and we've had conversations with people throughout the industry, and like, trying to find where they want to be, where do they want to serve, and their home and their communities. And it's like, so if you're out there and you've been losing the love for doing this, if you want to explore what we're building, I mean, like we're here. I want to. For me, I want the future of the mortgage industry, the future of home ownership, right? So if you're out there and you're listening and you are in alignment, like reach out to us and see how we could grow this together, because it takes, a village.
And we're all about collaboration. And I think we're, we are the perfect blend, as our coach calls us, the trifecta. Like there's no competition here. And, if you succeed, we succeed. If we succeed, you succeed. And I think we
all want to succeed. We all deserve to succeed.
Yeah,
we all deserve to have a quality of life. And that's why we help people get in, achieve that dream of home ownership, or we help, talk to them about things that they might not be comfortable talking about. We're financial advisors in an indirect way.
Right. Yeah.
We're building trusts and,
and bringing people home.
So again, please, if you're interested, not only if you want to, you're first time home buyer, Latino, if you are in the industry, you've been wondering what's been going on, like talk to us. Cause
I do want to say one thing. Yeah.
Yes,
as you're
please.
talking, obviously we don't have all of the details, but I am super excited about like the Comunidad aspect, because if you're an ITIN borrower, we know that, those resources have been limited, but at Movement, they're putting something together.
We're working very diligently on this. I know this, and I've experienced it from other companies. They're not as committed as Movement. So it is, and from our knowledge, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. And so again, being a resource for our community, that was huge to me, because I think that's like the first question I asked, like, what is up with the ITIN? What can we provide? What resources? And we were able to find out like something's coming down the pipeline. We don't know when, but trust assured that we will be sharing that information when we have it available. I did want to just add that piece.
Yes,
because,
please. Thank you. That's why I said again, teammates. I'm like, we all carry like, okay, I remember this and that. So we're pulling our strengths together. We're here for the future. We're making the mortgage industry like fun and exciting again.
Yes.
Like someone, like you said, our names in bright lights of like how we helping people. Like they did it. So stay tuned for more. So Angelina, I just want to thank you for sharing your heart your story. And I mean, again, alignment with with everything we're growing and doing, and Comunidad is very, very important from Lowetta over here. And I'm going to continue. My goal for 2026 is practicing my Spanish. Even Clay, my oldest, wants to practice his Spanish.
Yes.
And I love that. He's 5, and they're teaching him Spanish in school, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Yes.
And he's so into it and doesn't have any qualms. Like, no, I just want to practice Spanish. Mom, I'm like, good. The whole family's going to we're all practice together, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you can be my little junior. He counts to 10 in Spanish.
Yay.
I have it recorded. I'm like, it's so cute. So anyway, but on that note, Angelina, again, thank you. I mean, you guys stay tuned. Not just stay tuned here on the Right Move podcast. Stay tuned for what we're doing.
Yes.
Throughout California, throughout the West Coast, because we're getting licensed in all the other states. I mean, all of it. So West Coast, we are here. Plus, we are nationwide, as what you heard. Yeah. But big things are happening. Big things are here. So stay tuned to the Right Move podcast. Like, subscribe, follow, find us, stalk us, whatever you need to do. Whatever you do.
Yeah.
But we are here, and we're doing big things here.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you, Angelina. So stay tuned. And remember, our main goal is to bring you home with the right loan.
Hey, listeners. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Right Move podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on social media, and listening on your favorite podcasting platforms. New episodes are dropping every week, so stay tuned, and thank you for your support.